Okay, I wanted to make a video on. I made a comment on a video about an XJW, and they were talking about how Jehovah's Witnesses and education, and his point was that they just want to make you stupid and poor, and I said, well, yes, college made sense uh, prior to this, but now it doesn't necessarily make sense. And the comment was really, I don't know how to explain it, but it was very old world thinking, and he called me ignorant. So I wanted to just touch on that a little bit, so like I can kind of explain what's going on and what's going on in the markets, and take you through a process. It was everything he said was true about 40 years ago. It's not true right now. Okay, let's start with why people live paycheck to paycheck. The Brookings Institute made a study, and they found that 90% of people only had to follow 3 rules to live above the poverty line. That's 1, obtain full-time work; 2, graduate high school; and C, don't get married, don't have children before you're married. It's a fairly simple mindset. These are to get above poverty line. However, with a child support, divorce, things like this, these are destroying the family and making people poor, along with the taxation that has gone out of control. Now, this being said, do you need college to live above the poverty line, or let's say be wealthy? I would say no. In majority of the real way to make money is A, in sales, or B, in being an entrepreneur. However, there are exceptions to these rules. Lawyer, doctor, professionals. But I know plenty of people who've gotten, bachelor's degrees, different degrees, and they work in retail because they don't have that. It's more of a supply and demand issue. It's really how you have to think about money. Basic supply and demand, basic economics. So, for example, what's happened was there was a TV show called CSI, and it got people to get involved in crime scene investigation. Well, that also encouraged a lot of people to go get degrees in forensics, what have you, and to be their job, to be a CSI officer. Now, because of that, what has happened is their huge supply, but there was those types of jobs. Maybe there's 1 or 2 in counties, depending on the larger county is. So there's this huge supply of people, but not enough demand. Now, obviously, if you're going to accounting, things like that, there always will be a demand for accounting, lawyer, doctor, things like that. But how much you make comparatively, it's all relative. For example, an Uber driver. Uber drivers make good money. I know Uber drivers that pulled out 80, 100,000 a year, and half of depending on, because you're filing on a 1099, you're running your own business. You get to claim mileage, depreciation. You can, if you have an office in your house, you can take off your part of your mortgage. So most of that is you're making 80, 100,000 tax-free. Truck drivers, no education, make tons of money, make 6 figures. I know that when I used my degree, as a teacher, 20, 30,000. I didn't only make, when I started making 6 figures, 7 figures a year, it wasn't using my degree. It was actually just the opposite. We're in a weird time of life. We're in a very strange, totally bizarre, weird times of life. We're in a situation where personal interest rates for personal loans are 4 or 5%. Okay, you can go out and buy stable coins and make 12%. So you can actually make money on the money that you borrowed. So, but that requires intuitive initiative. Part of this is finding jobs that people don't want to do. Garbage men make tons of money. How many? I know several contractors that make more than lawyers. Most contractors that I know make 6 figures at least. So to give, my point is, it really depends. There are a lot of worthless degrees. First of all, in the 70s, tuition for a 4-year bachelor degree was about $7,000. Most of these skills nowadays can be found online. You can teach yourself. You can become an entrepreneur, and you can learn those skills without college. At this point, the only real the problem is that we have too many people going to college, and it used to be, universities used to be kind of an elite thing, showing that people had the smarts for it. But now, like, the average degree doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't even prove that you have the skills for this. So it's not, there are exceptions to every rule, of course, but it's what you study, how long you study, how much is the tuition, and that being said, like, would you rather just be a window washer, pull down 6 figures as if owning their own business? It's not hard. So to pretend like it's always necessary. It just depends how you think. Obviously, right now, what you should be thinking about, because it's really paying attention to the market and understanding what's next. So right now, they are spending money at such tremendous rates. They're giving banks $1 trillion a week. And they used to, and I don't want to get into all the technicals, the Fed just basically covered their balance sheets for a while, and they started off at $500 million. Now they're at $1 trillion, and there isn't this like deadline of whether not they have to cover it. So that being said, like, the amount of inflation that's coming is going to be so crazy. And what's funny is, like, think about it, like, the politicians now, they're going to blame capitalism. You know what that's coming. You're going to start like saying, these greedy capitalists, they're price gouging. Not that they're printing money out of control. It's not their fault. It's the greedy capitalists, for sure. It's just insane. So owning assets is really how you'd get ahead. And of course, what's really going to happen is it's going to get so out of control that the Fed will say that we need a digital dollar. We need a CBDC, and they're going to implement ESG scores in their CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency, CBDC. So it's actually laughable. The whole world's insane, and but part of it is understanding what's happening and this is going to be top-down communism. World Economic Forum, you'll own nothing and be happy. Decentralized assets, owning your own house, that's something you really should be thinking about. Lowering your debt. But getting back to my point is understanding market, not following the crowd, because being a teacher, teachers don't make money. Working for the government doesn't make money. You make money by doing things that people don't want to do. And whether or not in college sometimes is the way, sometimes it's not. But to say that, especially now where especially now, like, there's so many people that have basically, like Tyler Buterin, he dropped out of college, he's a billionaire. How many billionaires how many situations are like that? It's about thinking differently. It's about finding a place. And listen, I'm a little different, I know, but here's the reality. My father didn't go to college, and he was upper middle class, and he was a pipe fitter. So my grandfather, he had some coin too. Actually, both of them did. Unfortunately, my parents didn't inherit them because majority went to like the nursing home. When he died, they were giving out $20,000 paychecks, cutting a check for $20,000 a month for, I don't know, it was crazy. I don't remember, it was like 10 years. Anthony ran it, they put him dry. So, couldn't pass it down to anybody. And my other grandfather, majority of it went to his new wife's children, so it is what it is. The point of the matter is, what I wanted to say is that it's, I want to say this to say, okay, and then my grandfather's generation, all they had to do was go to college to get ahead. My father's generation, all they had to do is buy real estate to get ahead. Our generation, all we had to do is buy crypto to get ahead. That being said, one of the things he touched on was real estate. Here's the problem with real estate. We're not having children at replacement level. So who's going to buy the house? So that's why they have to import people at insane rates. That's why there's so many illegal immigrants. It's to keep the mortgages up. Because if they don't have enough mortgages, then the housing market will crash, because we're not having children at replacement level. So I know I threw a lot of concepts out there that you probably didn't understand. Maybe not. I hope, like, I sometimes say, I know that, like, I jump. subjects, and I know that like I didn't take you all the way through. I go from step 1 to step 27. But please like, subscribe, and like please leave questions because I can probably give you a better explanation for a lot of things. But yeah, I would say that in general, right now, like, what is the world going to look at? When automation takes over? Okay. What is the world going to work at when Google takes over call centers, and instead of calling Bank of America, you talk to a robot, you're an actual person? All those jobs, all those banking jobs are going to be gone. What does the world look like in Uber, when Uber actually has self-driving cars? How is that going to look like? So, like, the world is changing very, very quickly, and the things you have to do is you adapt to it. I wouldn't necessarily think college is or isn't a bad decision. It depends on your circumstances. It depends on what you want to do with your life. The thing that is finding a skill that can't be replaced by automation. That's number one, I would say. And also owning property, because the inflation rate is getting insane. So you don't need much. I mean, okay, silver's $25 an ounce, approximately. It has moved in 50 years. When the inflation rates really start to come in, they're starting to. Right now, like the CPI, what was it? They said it was 7%, but if they were actually calculating it the way they used to do it in the 80s, because they reformatted, because that was just to hide their money printing, the way they calculated in the 80s, it would be more than 15% inflation. It's insane. And on top of that, banks are giving you basically banks are giving you basically no interest rates. So, like, you have to rethink about money, because it's not a straight answer. And to say college is such a blanket statement, especially getting in debt, and the amount of the cost of tuition is, and unless you're getting some more affirmative action scholarship, it's not going to be worth it for you. And then you look at the professionals, like half the people, they're passing people because of affirmative action or other sort of race or gender policies, and they don't really have the skills to begin with. So it really just depends. Think entrepreneurship, think sales. There's never going to be a shortage of salespeople. There's never going to be a shortage of finding a niche market and really making money. I'll tell you that you can go out. We live in such a bizarre world right now. You can literally go out and sell, take your phone, scan things on Amazon, and post it to Amazon. Sell it even before you buy it, and and it's just an insane world. And you're telling me that you people who do that make definitely more than 6 figures, and you're telling me that you need a college degree to do that? Is insane. It just depends. And I think it's so silly to just blanket statement everything, because you don't understand the basic economics of what's happening and what's next. And if you want, listen, I'm here if you want to talk, especially about ESG and things like that. I'm here. Please like and subscribe. I hope you learned something. I hope we had a good conversation. So And again, I usually talk about scriptures. What have you. I just thought this was an interesting conversation, and I really want to help people because let's just face it, everything that we're getting to the time of the end at this point, there's no way that people are. I just see massive starvation that's going to happen shortly because because the government's going to go in and tell people they have to price control. This is centralized planning never works. Socialism just equals death. So please prepare yourself. So please like and subscribe, and hopefully I see you in the next one.